The office is a mess. Good morning, men. Great to be at the weekend again, I suppose. It's been a big g'day, men. Live, the office is a mess, obviously. I do apologise about that, but I just want to touch base and say, hope you've had a good week. I know it's been a struggle for some of the men out there in the last week, just I've been in contact with. And I just want to touch base on a few things today because I put a couple of posts up. I focused on loneliness, but also about fear and change this week. And it's really important to understand that, there's our life can be sort of almost poked from different angles all the time. And sometimes some of those challenges that are affecting us, they can become overwhelming. And there's been a lot of, especially in the last couple of weeks, men joining the group who have talked about loneliness. And those who haven't met me before, I'm Brett, and I'm the founder of the Momentum Revolution. So thanks for joining us. I really appreciate those men who've come on board. And I want to just say that when it comes to being challenged in life, we have to take a step back and look sometimes. And I just want to touch on the loneliness part to start with. And loneliness, and I mentioned in that little post that loneliness and solitude are two different things. Loneliness is a state of mind where we feel like we can be with people and still feel lonely. Whereas solitude is we actually choose to be alone and enjoy that time that we do spend by ourselves. And that can be done, for me, I love just going down and having a fish or being on the chainsaw or the woodwork, whatever it is that I like to do. It's like a meditation. For me, fishing is like a meditation. I like being alone and just focusing on what I'm doing in that moment. That's a really nice space to be. And I choose that. It's when you don't choose, moving to a new place, when you don't have any family and friends around to support you, the whole physical isolation. I mean, even though I'm talk about FIFO now, FIFO workers live in isolation. They're away from their community, their family, their friends. Now, they might have some mates and some people that they work with up on the site, but it's still an isolation, and they are still separated. You can get lonely working FIFO. We've got the whole COVID thing going at the moment with lockdowns, which is, throughout the world, and it's affecting. We won't see the real total effect of the repercussions of this for some years, from what I believe. Going through a divorce, a death, all those sort of things can really make us feel lonely, and it can, with loneliness, it can affect, like I mentioned, all sorts of aspects of our life, both physically and mentally. And I won't go into that because it's listed on the post that I put up, but we have to make sure that we do something about our loneliness. We have to take steps, and sometimes our loneliness can be because of things like depression, because we withdraw within ourselves, we withdraw from other people, and so we become lonely. And it's almost done in a stealth-like manner. So it's really important that we are aware that we are pulling away and we're shutting down, because that's how we're coping, and that's okay. It's a coping mechanism, but it's also important that we understand that's what we're doing and to take steps to actually avoid that. And the best thing you can do is reach out to your family and friends, and just have a conversation. Spend some time with them. Go out for a picnic. Go out for a walk in the park, in the bush, whatever it is. Go and do something together. Get involved with a community group or a volunteer group. That's really a way to reconnect with people. And when you're doing something for those who are less fortunate than you, then it makes a big difference. I'll give you an example. For me, I was suffering from one of my worst depressions ever about 4 years ago, just before I did all my personal growth. And I involved with a charity, and I've been to India 4 times with that charity, and I work as a chiropractor over there, but at the same time we also provide a lot of first aid support for people who have no medical access whatsoever. And some of the things you see are just mind-blowing, and I won't go into that because it's confidential and a bit hard to cope and deal with sometimes. If you haven't seen it, you're not part of that sort of environment. And one of the things I I found when I got over there, because I went back there in this massive depression, I almost didn't go, I almost pulled out. And a very good colleague, friend of mine said, come over there, we'll look after you. And within 3 days, my depression had basically disappeared. I was living in a very low socioeconomic environment in communities, and by helping out and being there and supporting those people and then teaching others what was going on, being one of the major leading supervisors there, it just changed my whole mindset and my whole heart mode, and my depression basically lifted within 3 days just by doing something for others, even though I'd been in this massive depression for 4 months and I'd tried everything to get out of it. By doing that and going to communities and community events and volunteer groups, you actually get to widen your group of friends and try and develop those friendships. Always try and focus on your positives, and expect the best outcome. And when we're in that deep, dark space and we're lonely, we always expect the worst. And I see it and hear it in the way people speak at different times. And if you expect the best, you can get the best. If you look at a challenge as a challenge and not as a negative event, and how you can learn from that, that's a really good thing. And I have to do that every single day. I'm always challenged with different things. I have to try and look at the positives. So one of the men on the group, Dave Middleton, has actually suggested to get a Facebook book group going, and I'll get a bit more work done on that in the next few days with Dave, and put a post up to see if anyone who's interested in joining. And that way you can have your own little community within the community to actually read a book and then do it like a book club, basically. In regards to the fear that I mentioned the other day, and it's time for change, someone said to me once, the best time to plant an apple tree is 25 years ago, because it's already fully grown and you're reaping all the fruit from it. And the next best time to plant an apple tree is right now, because if you keep waiting, it'll still take a long time for it to grow. And he was talking to me about my own personal growth and my own challenges. And he basically said to me, the best time to deal with it was 25, 30 years ago, mate. The next best time is right now. And that's when I say, it's time for change. If you are struggling, if you are having time, struggling with life and challenges, and you're not sure how to go forward, and you get stuck in it, and we get stuck in it because we've lived it for so long, and you're not sure what to do, then the first thing to do is make a decision that it's time to change. And that's what he just said to me. He just said, it's time. And so I use that catchphrase a lot, it's time. When it comes to the fear side of things, fear for me was one of those things that I didn't realize I was living in fear until after I could look back, after I dealt with my shit. And for those who don't know, and most of you out there who know me do know, that I was sexually abused as a child. And one of the things you do as a child is you feel shame, guilt, embarrassment, blame. And I blamed myself for what happened. I felt shame, I was embarrassed. And one of the things I realized later on, I was living in fear. I was living in fear of my past, of my pain, of the emotions that are attached to that trauma that happened to me. And I buried it for a long, long time, 44 years basically. But I also lived in fear of what other people may say, think, or do as well. And so I buried all that. And I look back now, and I was living in fear of all those things, and fear of what might happen if I have to face those traumas. And it was the most scariest thing I ever had to do, was actually face them. I was fearful. But it was also the most rewarding thing I ever did in my life. And that's led me to where I am today, which is here, just giving a few tips and advice out to men. Because I focus with men at the moment. There's that may change in the future, but at the moment I'm focusing, I just understand men better, because I know what my own journey was like. And so I as a result of going through that trauma and understanding the emotions behind it, I understand what the fear is now. And so it's not that fear allowed me to survive. It allowed me to survive my childhood, it allowed me to survive my teenage years and my early adulthood. But it got to the point where it actually then froze me and held me in suspended animation basically for 30 years. and I should have done something earlier. I just didn't know what or how. And I wish I had someone come to me, 30 years ago and said, mate, you have to deal with your shit, because otherwise it's going to affect you X, Y, Z. And it's destroyed relationships. It's caused me a lot of heartbreak and depression and many sad days, months and years over the 30 years through that depression. And I just want men to understand that there are answers out there. And whether it was with me or someone else, just reach out and just, speak to someone, get some help, because we need to have a world of men who are strong emotionally, spiritually, physically, but emotionally is most important. We need to have that emotional strength, not just especially for ourselves, but it also then flows on to our family and our children, and to be that role model to our kids and to that next generation coming through, to be a role model to other men who are also struggling, which is why I share my story, because I just want other men to say, if it's all right for him to share his shit, then it's all right for me to share mine. If it's all right for him to deal with his shit, then I can deal with my shit as well. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I just want to help as many men in this world as I can. And for the men in this group, you're first and foremost, because you're here and you're joining me and you're being so open and honest and vulnerable in your posts. And I'm so grateful for that. It's just empowering, and it's beautiful to see a bunch of men, and when they share, and when other men share their wisdom and their advice, they're doing it with love and integrity, and that's what we have to do it with. We have to do it with love and integrity. So I just want to throw that out there. I am sincerely grateful for everyone being on board and being a part of the group. I know this is a long post, but I do apologize. And I just want to wish everyone the best life they can have, because that's what we all deserve. And I just want you to have your best life. And I know at times we can't always see a way out, but believe me, there is. You just have to find what works for you and find what may be causing those blocks or those challenges and why you can't move forward. And once you understand that and see that, then your life will do a big 180 and things will start to turn around. So until next time, until next week when I put another video up, peace, love and healing. Like I said, I wish you nothing but the best. If you want to have a chat, just send me a message or jump on the links that I put up occasionally about, a free 30-minute call. I'm happy to chat anyway, in any way, and help in any way I can, just to help you see things from a different perspective. Other than that, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Like I said, peace, love and healing. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.